Yo, what is going on YouTube? Welcome to the channel, The Jaff Man. I'm your host, Jaff. Today I'm going to be doing a comparison between the Galaxy Note 8 and the Galaxy S10. Note 8 versus S10. These are great phones. This has been my daily driver for the last almost 2 years. I guess it's going to be 2 years in like August, September. So yeah, just over a year and a half. And this is my brand new phone. Why did I get this? Am I ready to upgrade? What's really the benefit of going to an S10 apart from an extra camera and better screen to body ratio, which I don't really think is all that important, because mobile phone providers keep trying to sell you the products of their master race, which is slimmer bezels, no notch, no camera at the front, and they're trying to just keep going forward and making people buy these new iterations of their creations. So what has really changed in the last year and a half, 2 years with the Galaxy Note 8, which is now 2 generations behind, because we've had the S9, then the S10. Now this is the S10 normal version with 128 gigabytes of storage. It is actually a great phone. It feels great in the hand. It feels like it's the perfect proportions. Benchmarks would have you believe this phone is like 10 times better, or maybe at least 3-4 times better than this phone. But in real use, in practical use, what is the real difference? Especially when they're both at a very close price point. This can be had for about £450. This can be had for about £480. Now, basically, somewhere around $500 or just under for the Note 8, you can have both phones. So, with all that said, let's see how far we've actually come and what the benchmarks would have you believe to what a real world use experience would be, because that's what matters. Real world use, not what it says in numbers always, because numbers and the real world are two different things. So let's go. This is what I wanted to show you guys. You can get the S10 for $480 brand new. Granted, it's the dual SIM variant, but it's the same processor and it will still work great. Now if you don't want the Note 8, or you do want the Note 8 rather, you can get it for £407 brand new from a UK seller, Amazon. That is an absolute steal. And if you want the S10 locally and you don't want it from abroad, you can get it for $515. Now this is my lovely Note 8. I've had it in that case pretty much forever. So before I did this comparison video, I thought it would be great if we get some alcohol wipes and try rub off all that grease for months and years of use. One of the things with these phones is the aluminium casing around it, or the bezel, or the frame rather, is not very durable. And even though this phone has lived inside a decent case for all its life, there are chippings and marks all over the aluminium frame around the phone. But what can you do? And the oleophobic coating seems to wear off with time, and that's the best it can look for now. Now the S10, let's get that bad boy open. So it comes in very similar packaging to previous years. Not much has changed, and you can see my trusty little Higo Nakami little knife, my Japanese pocket knife, cutting it like a perfectionist all around the edges, not even getting the shrink wrap all the way off. But you take it off and you're immediately presented with the phone. Now we'll put that aside because we want to see the accessories. You get the same 2.4 amp that they've been selling with their Samsung phones for years now in a different color. You get a USB-C OTG cable. Whoop, there's a little USB-C to micro, the USB-C charge cable, and the headphones, which are completely the same as the last few years, but now they're black, and you know, they do look great. There's nothing underneath the phone, but I'll shut up for 2 seconds right now. Now let's turn the phones on. This is not a first boot. Both phones have been used for quite a few days. My Note 8 forever really. I haven't done anything to it. And the S10 maybe the last 3-4 days. So they're both loaded up as real use case phones, and we get to see how long it takes to boot. And in this case, you can't really see the difference up until in the next few moments, where you'll see the S10 edge forward just by a split second. Now something that really pissed me off with Samsung this year, and even on the S9, is they've put the button a whole lot higher for the power key. I don't know why they've done that. They should have just kept it in the same ratio that they had it on the Note 8 and the S8, but for whatever reason they raised the power button higher, just like everybody's index fingers have been extending over the last 1 or 2 generations. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. So if you ever do listen Samsung, please fix that, because that is just annoying. Now here we're just comparing the camera, field of views, the perspective. Now the S10 selfie camera is dual or single camera, sorry, but it has an extra wide mode, and you can see the difference that gets to make right here. It does seem to catch a lot more in that single frame. There's me on the little side, hello, hello, hello. But they're both enough, to be fair. The Note 8 can do with a bit of a wider thing, but really, how much distortion do you want to live with at the edge of the frame? That's what it really comes down to with these ultra wide selfie cameras, and a lot of consumers don't really understand distortion, so what the hell, they get to sell as many as they like. Now moving on to the rear cameras, the S10 has 3 cameras. One that is like a really ultra wide, one which is like a normal nifty 50, really, if you want to call it that. I don't even know the field of views, but you get to see the difference. And one which is cropped, or what we would describe as portrait mode. The Note 8 does benefit from 2 cameras, and for most situations it is enough, but the S10 definitely has the edge with this triple camera setup. I'm not really going to dive into the super slow-mo specs and all this and that, but suffice to say they both look great, and the S10 probably has a bit of better color science. Moving on to benchmarks now, I'll run Geekbench 4 on both, and they're both running as real use phones. None of them are wiped or anything like that, so you get to see the difference. And already from the beginning you can see the S10 on the left is edging ahead, and the score for single score, which is over double, and multi-score, which is just about 33% better. Now we move on to the Antutu benchmark to see the difference, and again we can see the S10 on the left is edging ahead, flying through that benchmark a lot quicker. But benchmarks are benchmarks. Not everything means what the numbers would suggest, and I'll go on to this in just a moment now. And as obviously the score is like double, but what does that really mean? Nothing to me. Now at this point, if I can do some practical real world use cases, I'll close both phones as it clear all their background running apps, launch the phone. They both launch pretty much instantly, and any app that you try again for the second time generally runs as the same speed on both phones because of the way system memory caching works. WhatsApp, that was a bad idea as it hasn't really been loaded onto the other phone, but you saw messages pretty much load at the same time. Try launch the camera on both altogether. The S10 got ahead there just by a smidge, and I don't understand why it has slightly different color science. I feel like with every generation of Samsung phones, they nerf the previous generations to make the color science look worse, and it's like been a reoccurring theme that I've been noticing, and I can't really test this right now without a new phone and waiting to see how it changes after a software update upon the release of a new phone. Now one thing that's really annoying is the fingerprint sensor. Although bloody blooming brilliant that is in display, there's no replacement for a mechanical fingerprint sensor that is outside of this display system. But nevertheless, it is still great that we have it incorporated and we're not having to smudge up our camera lenses. In terms of connectivity, they're practically identical. Button placement is somewhat similar, apart from that annoying power button that they decided to put near the top of the screen, as if all our fingers have been getting longer. And a little observation, oleophobic coatings wear off with time, so enjoy that silky feel whilst it's new, and only new because it will go. Now they're both cracking deals because I don't really like buying phones on a contract. Nowadays a decent contract is like £50-60 and you're tied in for like 24 to 36 months. Why do I want to be tied in that long? You're better off buying the phone cash or doing a direct like manufacturer monthly rental scheme where you can get a new phone every year and find a cheap ass contract deal with like cashback and whatever, where it works out. For my contract, for example, 20 gigs of 4G, unlimited text and minutes, like £12 a month. I pay £30 for this phone a month. That's 42 a month. There was no way you could get this for 42 a month back when it came out. On launch date, it got shipped at my door, and I'm probably going to get the Note 10. This is probably going to go to my wife, and it's going to be her phone. So that is it for this video. They're both great phones. This is slightly faster. It does have a better camera. It does have a better screen to body ratio, but it has that annoying little infinity like, it's great. It's better than some of the other phones that's out right now with their iterations, but it's still not brilliant. So with all that said, I think either one of these are a great buy, especially at the price point you can get them right now. I'm still stoked about the Note 10. Can't wait. I've always been a Note user. Now, if you liked any of this, mash that subscribe button. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, give me a like, and if you want to discuss any of the things I mentioned in this video, drop me a few words in the comments below. Peace.